The exercise files for today's course are located in the video description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Welcome, everyone. I'm Trish Connor-Cato, and this is Tableau Introduction. Tableau is a visual analytics platform that makes it easier for people to explore and manage data and faster to discover and share insights that can change businesses. It helps people and organizations be more data-driven. Tableau supports data prep, analysis, governance, collaboration, and more. This Tableau basic training course is designed as an introduction to Tableau for beginners. On completing the course, students will have a firm grasp of the basic techniques required to create visualizations and combine them in interactive dashboards. Specifically, students will meet the following learning outcomes, among others: advanced techniques, tips, and tricks for Tableau. Thank you for viewing this Tableau introductory course. Module 9 is about making data work for you. We have 3 lessons in this module which kind of all run together. The first one is structuring data for Tableau. The second one is dealing with data structure issues. And we're going to be using an Excel file from the video description called Vehicles-Data Interpreter. And then the third lesson is an overview of advanced fixes for data problems. So this slide shows the recommended data structure for Tableau. Your data should be formatted like a table or spreadsheet. You would want to ensure that the data types are correct. When you have the opportunity to do so and it makes sense, you should split fields into multiple fields. We've done that before with the customer name field in Sample Superstore. We split it to customer last and customer first. And then Tableau will present the data interpreter when the source is Excel, text CSV, PDF, or Google Sheets. The data interpreter tool in Tableau can interpret and potentially fix data structure issues. And lastly, some ideas for fixing data problems would be renaming fields, which we've also done, grouping, aliases, and identifying and fixing geographic errors. For example, we've created map visualizations, and that's because the fields we used had been assigned a geographic role. If you bring data into Tableau and it's not assigned for some reason a geographic role, you need to fix that if you plan to use those fields on maps. I'm going to start this in the Excel file that we're going to be using in Tableau, Vehicles-Data Interpreter. Feel free to open it if you like, or you can just watch on my screen. There are several problems with this data. There are blank columns and blank rows. I wouldn't particularly structure data that way in Excel. I know that some people like to have a blank column and minimize its width so that it's kind of like a dividing line to separate different groups of data. But when you're trying to do data analysis and visualizations, that kind of data can be problematic. The other thing that's happening in here is we have blank rows. And then if you look in column F, the classification column, we have cars, van/minivan. If you look down here, here's a data entry issue. Instead of typing car, there's just the letter C. Instead of typing van/minivan, there's VM. And then there's a V plus M down here, and also an auto instead of car. So there's several problems there. The other issue is there's a subset of data on another sheet. So if I go to the pricing sheet tab, it has the same rows missing, but this one has the VIN number, dealer cost, and manufacturer's suggested retail price. I'm going to go back to the inventory tab. That data could be it should be related to each other, has a common field of VIN number. So now I'm going to go ahead and close this file and switch over to Tableau. And when you get to Tableau, let's go to the File tab and close Sample Superstore Live. If it prompts you to save changes, go ahead and do so. And under Connect to a File, we're going to choose Microsoft Excel and navigate to that vehicles-data interpreter file that we just looked at. And I'm going to just double click it. So this is an Excel file, one of the ones that it is able to provide the data interpreter Tableau feature to. And so on the left side, on the data source screen, it says use data interpreter, and it says data interpreter might be able to clean your Microsoft Excel workbook. And we're going to see how that process works. Let's go ahead and check the box in front of Use Data Interpreter to enable it, and it's already done. We can click on the Review the Results link to see what it has fixed in that Excel file, and it will open an annotated copy of the file. You'll notice up here, it's changed the name somewhat, and this can be saved. It adds a tab in the first position, and it's the legend. It's the key for data interpreter. So it gives you the key for understanding the results, and it's color coded over here, or it has borders around it. And then we also have the two sheet tabs that were in our original broken data file. So let's go to inventory. And so when you're looking at the key, you see that it interprets the data as column headers or field names. And then green is data is interpreted as values in your data source. So that's what it's saying there. So it's letting you know that this color is header and these rows are data. Now we'll notice that it didn't really get rid of our blank columns and blank rows on this, but it did make sure that it knows what the headers are. And then if we look at the pricing tab, now I'm going to adjust this column width here so I can see the values. It did the same thing. So simply put, it recognized the headers and the data. Now go back to inventory. The data interpreter did not fix the issues in the classification column, but those are easy enough to fix in Tableau. So we have car, auto, C for all that should be car. And we can go ahead and close this file. If you want to save your changes, you can. I'm going to choose to not save them. And if you ever want to undo the changes that data interpreter may have made, you could simply just uncheck the box. And by the way, when data interpreter cleans the data, it doesn't impact the source file. That's why it creates that annotated Excel file. So we're going to go ahead and see what we need to do to fix the data. Let's drag inventory onto the canvas, and then we'll drag pricing onto the canvas. So it detects a relationship between the two because they have a common field, which is VIN. And then you can see that now. So it's just letting you know that those two tables are related to each other based on the common field. But relating the tables doesn't merge the tables. So right now, if you click on the inventory table, you'll see the fields in the inventory table, VIN, year, make, model, classification, color. If you scroll down through the data, you'll notice that even though it didn't appear like it in the data interpreter result file, it did get rid of blank rows and blank columns. So we don't have to worry about that at all. So we want a merged data set. So I'm going to double click inventory in the canvas so that I get to the physical layer. And I'm going to go ahead and drag pricing into the view. And so it automatically creates that inner join, and it's using the VIN field as the common field. So now when I look down here, I see the merged data set. And there's no need to have the VIN number in there twice. So we're going to right click on the VIN pricing header, and we're going to choose hide. Let's go ahead and navigate back to our logical layer. So now we are going to address the issues that we're having in our classification column, where we have car and van minivan input different ways. So we're going to fix that now by creating a group. So we're going to right click on the classification heading, and we're going to choose create group. So it's showing all of the different classifications, including the ones that are mistakes. So we're going to we're going to click on C and then car, holding down control key, and also auto. So those three. And we're going to click at the bottom on group, and we're going to name the group car. And we have to do the same thing with V plus M, van minivan, and VM, and we want to name the group van/minivan. So I accidentally, on purpose, did not include VM in my van minivan group. So all I would need to do is click on it, and up here in the upper right corner, I can click on Add To. And when I do the drop down, I see the groups that I created, and I'm going to select van/minivan, and so it includes it in that group. And notice groups are represented by paper clips. So the other thing is we have a car group, a van/minivan group, and then we have SUV and truck by themselves, ungrouped. If we wanted to include an other group, if I check this, then we have an other group that includes any members that were not previously grouped. We don't want an other group. And we're going to go ahead and click OK. So notice we have the original classification field that still contains C, car, auto as separate things, and the same for our van and minivan. But if you look at the right side of your grid, you'll see that it has classification group, and this is where the corrected data is. So I didn't mention it when we were in the Excel file, but we have a similar problem in the model field. So let's right click on model and select create group, and I'll show it to you in the list. So the actual model name is 88, and in here it's been put in two other ways, 99 and 77. So we need those three entries in a group, and we want the group name to be 88. Go ahead and set up that group. And once you're done, your screen should look like mine. And we'll go ahead and click OK. And so all the way to the far right, we'll see our model group, and we don't have any 77s or 99s showing. If we look at the color field, we realize that the color blue should really be dark blue, and the color green should really be forest green. So we're going to adjust that by using aliases. I'm going to right click on color and choose aliases. And in here, I can actually change the alias in the value alias column. So I'm going to click on blue, and I'm going to just type dark blue and press enter. And I'm going to click on green and type forest green. The other colors are fine. And then I'm going to click OK. So you notice here in the color you'll see the aliases, and that's what would show on visualizations as opposed to what it was originally. Let's go ahead and save this file. We'll call it vehicle information. And let's go to sheet 1 so that we'll be able to see our work. So you'll notice over on your data pane, you have classification and classification group. You also have model and model group. You don't have a group for color because it made those alias changes within the field. Let's drag classification group to rows. And for comparison, let's drag classification to columns. So you see the columns still have the bad information in it. And we can get rid of classification from the column shelf. Let's drag model group to columns. And you see that if you scroll across, you'll see that we don't have a 77 or a 99 because we grouped that with 88. And you can get rid of model group. And lastly, let's drag color to columns. And you'll see our dark blue and forest green there. So just to round this out, let's go ahead and drag MSRP measure to detail. Or actually, I'm sorry, to text on the marks card. So we're seeing the MSRP, the sum of the MSRPs by classification and color. And we don't need the field labels for columns here. So I'm going to get rid of, the field labels for rows. We don't need it to say classification group. And we really don't need it for the columns either. We don't need it to say color. And if you want to spend a few moments adding more information and creating a visualization out of this data, go ahead and do so. And then you're going to save and close the workbook. And so this is my end result for adding more fields and doing some formatting on this sheet. In this module, you learned some techniques on how to make data work for you. We started by viewing an Excel file that contained some data entry and structural errors. We connected to that file in Tableau and learned how to use the data interpreter, which can sometimes fix structural issues in Excel, text CSV, PDF, and Google Sheets files. Data interpreter presents itself on the left pane in data source view once you connect to the data source. We used the feature and reviewed the results in the annotated Excel file it created. The original source data file is never impacted by any data interpreter changes. We saw that data interpreter was unable to fix our data entry issues. We had blank rows, blank columns. Sometimes it will fix those visually and you'll see it in the annotated file. And other times it won't, like in our case. However, it didn't bring in any blank columns or blank rows into our data set. We then created a relationship between both tables and created a join between them to merge the data from both sheets. We created groups on 2 fields to fix incorrect data and modified aliases to display on visualizations. And you had an opportunity there to create a group on your own. We built a visualization to show our corrections, and you had the chance to add more to the visualization and format it on your own. We'd already split fields, renamed fields, and learned how to change geographic roles if necessary earlier in the course, so we did not cover that in this module. Although those concepts are also part of making data work for you. In Module 10, we'll get into advanced techniques, tips, and tricks. The first lesson, we're going to learn about sheet swapping and how they can make your dashboards more dynamic. The second lesson, You'll learn how to answer complex questions by leveraging sets. The third lesson is going to be using background images. Now, we're going to be doing those first 3 lessons using our sample Superstore live workbook. And then for the 4th lesson, mapping techniques, we're going to use a different data source. It's in the video description. There's an Excel file called Australian Ghost Sightings. So what is sheet swapping and why would you do it? It enables a user to view vises individually on dashboards. Imagine having multiple visualizations on a dashboard and a user is accessing it from a mobile device. Sheet swapping is extremely helpful in that situation as well as others, and it is a way to make your dashboards dynamic. And then we talked about leveraging sets. So what are sets and what does it mean to leverage them? You can use sets to compare and ask questions about a subset of data. Sets are custom fields that define a subset of data based on some conditions. You control the level of detail you view. You can make sets more dynamic and interactive by using them in set actions. Set actions let your audience interact directly with a viz or dashboard to control aspects of their analysis. When someone selects marks in the view, set actions can change the values in a set. In addition to a set action, you can also allow users to change the membership of a set by using a filter-like interface known as a set control, which makes it easy for you to designate inputs into calculations that drive interactive analysis. I'm back in Sample Superstore Live, and we're going to get set up for sheet swapping, and we're going to do that by creating 2 new worksheets. For the first one, we're going to drag subcategory to rows, regions to columns, and sales to text. We are going to hide the title, and let's name that sheet Crosstab. So I've gone ahead and shaded the sheet and widened the subcategory column, and I'm going to hide the field labels for columns. So this is going to be one of 2 visualizations that can be swapped in a dashboard. Let's go ahead and create another new sheet. And on this one, let's go ahead and hide the title. This time we're going to do it a little bit different. In your data pane on the left, click on Order Date, and then hold down your Control key and click on the profit measure. And then in the upper right-hand corner, click on Show Me, and we're going to select Line. I'm going to collapse Show Me. And then I'm going to right-click in the columns shelf on Year of Order Date, and I want to select the month. We're going to name the sheet Line. And then go ahead and do your usual formatting. I'm going to change the color of the line to that dark green. And I'm going to give it a worksheet shading. The other thing I realized is I want the actual month to show. So I'm going to right click on the month in columns, and I'm going to choose this month on the list. So it actually shows the months. Let's go ahead and save the file. Now let's go back to our crosstab sheet, and here we need to create a parameter and a calculated field that we're going to be using in our sheet swap. So I'm going to go to the drop down at the top of the data pane, and we'll create the parameter first, and we're going to name the parameter sheet swap. We're going to give it a data type of string. And under allowable values, we're going to select list. We're going to add our 2 sheets that we're going to use for sheet swapping. So where it says click to add, we're going to type cross tab, press tab so you get your display as, and then click to add again and type line and tab. And we'll click OK at the bottom. Now we're going to create our calculated field from the same drop down. And we're also going to name it Sheet Swap. And we're going to just reference our Sheet Swap parameter. So if you start typing it, you can select it from the list, let you know the calculation is valid, and we'll click OK. What it does, you'll see this. If we right click on that calculated field Sheet Swap and we go to edit, you'll notice that it prefaced it with parameters. And we can click OK to get out of there. Now we're going to drag the calculated field to the filters box. And just for consistency's sake, at the top, we're going to select custom value list. Click where it says enter text and type crosstab. Now, if you press enter, it's going to say you might get a strange result. You're going to click the plus sign to the right of that to add, or you could do control enter. And we're going to click OK. So we just told this filter to filter for the crosstab sheet. And now what we can do is right click on your parameter sheet swap and choose show parameter. And notice it's defaulting to crosstab there. Now, let's go to our line sheet. And on the line sheet, you're going to drag the sheet swap calculated field to filters, custom value list, enter text, and it's line, and you can do the plus sign or control enter. And then click OK. And now if you show the parameter on this sheet, now you notice the parameter comes up saying crosstab, and that's why you're not seeing the line. If you go to the crosstab sheet, you'll see the crosstab. Go back to your line sheet, do the drop down and switch it to line. So when you're seeing, you can see one or the other is the way it's set up right now. Now we're ready to pull this all together in a new dashboard. I'm going to adjust my size. Because I'm doing this video, I'm going to leave it on desktop browser. If it was a phone device, you get a different layout here and you would adjust accordingly. Sheet swapping is very good for mobile access, but it's also good in general if someone is using the dashboard and they want to be able to focus on whatever sheet one at a time. Now the steps that we went for applying the calculated field as a filter on each sheet, well, maybe you want 5 different visualizations on your dashboard. You would do those same steps and show the parameter so that you can see that it's working on all the other sheets. We're just using the 2 sheets, cross tab and line. So I'm going to adjust my sizing here first. So I adjusted the size of my canvas. No, I think that is too wide. I got a scroll bar. All right. And then I'm going to drag crosstab into the canvas. And notice we're not seeing the visualization because the parameter is showing line. Let's just change that to crosstab for right now. And then we're going to drag line underneath crosstab on the canvas. And because it's saying crosstab, you're just not seeing the line. So that's working as the way we want it to work. Select your crosstab, and on the toolbar where it says standard, choose entire view. Swap, I should say, back to line, and you'll see that that is also adjusted for the entire view. I'm going to leave it on crosstab for right now. Let's hide both titles. Don't need those there. And then you're going to select your crosstab. Make sure you have the actual object selected. And on the right-hand side, we're going to go to its drop-down, and we're going to choose floating. And then we're going to resize it to fit the entire canvas, except that we don't want to cover up our parameter filter over there. And then if you test out your sheet swap, line will fill the entire canvas as well. Go back to crosstab on your sheet swap. And on that sheet swap parameter, we're going to do the drop down arrow. And notice it's a compact list. We want to make it a single value list, so it has option buttons. So at this point, I can switch to line, I can switch back to crosstab, and they're both filling the entire canvas when they're displayed. Go ahead and name your dashboard Sheet Swap. Why not? And then save your workbook. Let's create a new worksheet so that we can create a set, and you'll see what a set does. So just as a reminder, sets allow you to compare subsets of data. We are going to create a set based off of the customer last name field. And so let's right click on customer last, hover over create, and choose set. And we're basing it on the customers with the top 20 sales. So I'm going to name this set customers with top 20 sales. And then I'm going to click the top tab. I'm going to select by field, change the 10 to a 20, and change the category field to the sales field. And we'll click OK. Great. So we have our set. Notice the interlocking circles on the left side of it. Looks like kind of looks like a relationship or a join type. And it's customers with top 20 sales. Now we're going to create a hierarchy. And we're going to create the hierarchy with the customer last and the market segment fields in it. So we already have two hierarchies in our data set that just came in this way. Location is the name of a hierarchy, and it has country, region, state, province, region, city, and postal code within it. And we can collapse hierarchies and expand them when needed. And then we also have a product hierarchy with category, subcategory, manufacturer, and product name. So what we're going to do is we're going to select customer last, hold down your control key, and select market segment, and right click on either of the selected ones. And at the bottom, we're going to hover over hierarchy and select create hierarchy. And we're going to name it customer and segment and click OK. So now we have our customer and segment hierarchy, which includes customer last and market segment. But we also want to add our set to that hierarchy, and we want our set at the top of it. There's a couple of ways we can do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click and hold on my customers with top 20 sales set. I can drag it and drop it. And you have that little guideline. So I'm going to put it above customer last and drop it there. So now we'll see how we can compare the subsets of data and also get more detail or not when we're using sets. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we are going to drag our top 20 customers by sales set to the filters box. And we're going to right click on it and we're going to choose show in/out of set. On the filter screen, we're going to select all and we're going to click OK. Now we're going to drag our customer in from our hierarchy, our customers with top 20 sales. We want that in rows. And notice it says in and out. And you have an in row and an out row. Now let's drag sales to columns. So what you're seeing here, the in row is all of the top 20 customers based on their sales values, and the out row are all the other customers. So you're able to compare those two subsets of data in this way. Now, the other thing I like to do is I'm going to grab my top 20 customers by sales and drop it on the color box on the marks card. And it automatically gives it a blue color for in those members that are in the set and a gray color for those that are out. I'm going to click on color in the marks card, choose edit colors, and I'm going to keep it on the automatic palette. On the left side, I'm going to click in. I'm going to click on in, and I want that to be green. And I want out to be red. And then I'm going to click OK. And it gives you the legend over here. So that updates, of course, with our color choices. Now, how can I get more detail on this? If I look at the rows, I have the plus sign in front of in/out, right? I'm going to click the plus sign. And because that was in the hierarchy, it's now showing the customer last name as well. If I click the plus sign on the customer last name, it will show the market segment, which is the next one that's in the hierarchy. I can get rid of that. I can do the minus sign in front of customer last to get rid of market segment, and the minus sign in front of in out to get rid of the customer last. So that gives you better comparisons when you add more detail by drilling down. Let's go ahead and let's edit the title on this one. And it's going to be comparing customers with top 20 sales to all other customers. And then for the sheet name, we'll call it leveraging sets. And save your file. So on this one, we're going to do a couple of little tweaks to it, and then we'll see how to drill down on it. We're not going to apply a set action to this visualization, but we're going to create another one in which we will do that. So for right now, I want to hide this row field label. So I'm going to just right click on it and choose hide field labels for rows. If you ever hide field labels for rows or columns, let me show you how you can get them back. You can go to the Analysis menu, hover over Table Layout, and you'll see whatever is hidden will be available in the list. So I can click on Show Field Labels for Rows to get it back. And I'm going to hide it again. The next thing we want is we want this filter to show. So I'm going to right click on the filter. And I'm going to just say Show Filter. And when it comes up, I'm going to go over to the right and access its drop down and make it a multiple values drop down. So now if I hover over the in and out, I'll see the plus sign. And because this is at the top level of our hierarchy, if I drill down, it's then going to show the customer last name. And then if I drill down on that, it will show the market segment. So let's test it out. We're going to do the plus sign, and we got the last names for both in and out. And if I go over to the last name column and do the plus sign, then I see the market segment. And notice those get added up here to the rows shelf. Now, to collapse it again, I can go up to the rows shelf and do the minus sign in front of customer last, and that collapses market segment. And if I do the minus sign in front of in out, it will collapse the customer last name. Or I could have used the minus signs that were on top of those categories. Let's go ahead and save one more time and create a new sheet. We're going to start by naming the sheet Asymmetric Drill Down. And of course, it drops it into the title for us. On this one, we're going to create a set from the category field. And we can leave the name as category set. And for this one, we're going to just choose any category off the list as a member. It's just temporary placeholder. When we apply the set action, this is going to get overwritten. So we can just do OK on that. So we have our category set in our data pane. Before we continue, let me show you why we're doing this and what the set action will do. Let's just go back to leveraging sets for a moment. And let's go ahead and drill down. And you notice when you drill down, it drills down for the entire thing. And we can collapse that. What we want to happen is when we drill down, if we click on a mark, we only want it to drill down for that mark, not for everything else. So that's our end result. And that's going to happen via a set action. So let me collapse this stuff and go back to our asymmetric drill down. We already have our category set created. So now we're going to create a calculated field. I'm going to use the drop down at the top of the data pane and create calculated field. And we're going to call it asymmetric subcategory. And then I'll get the calculation in and you'll be able to copy it from my screen. So it's an if then else construct. It's saying if it's in the category set, then show the subcategory, or else just keep it on the category. So when we populate that category set, if the user clicks a heading or a mark and it's part of that category set, then it will drill down to subcategory just for that one, or else it's just going to show the category. Let's go ahead and click OK. So we have our calculated field in our data pane. We're going to drag the category field to rows, and then our asymmetric subcategory is also going to rows. And then we're going to drag sales to text on the marks card. So right now, if I expand category, it's going to do it for the entire crosstab table. I'm going to collapse it again. And now we can do a set action. Now you can do a set action from the worksheet level. And if you put the worksheet on a dashboard and you realize you didn't do a set action on it, you can do it at the dashboard level as well. So let's do this from the worksheet level. We're going to go up to the worksheet menu and we're going to click on actions. We're seeing this would be the same as if we were in a dashboard, this actions box. And I'm going to select the this sheet option button just so I'm not looking at everything else that's in the workbook. And I'm going to choose add action. And the action is going to be change set values. So these are just the same as when we saw dashboard actions, change set values. We're going to name the action asymmetric drill down. The name is the same as our sheet. And notice we have the source sheet. It's set to select. So if they actually click on a mark, and then we're going to go down to where it says target set. We're going to hover over sample superstore, and we're going to choose category set. Running the action will assign values to the set. Clearing the selection we want it to remove all values from the set. So we're going to click OK at the bottom of that. And you see our set action right here. And we're going to click OK. Now we are going to test our work. So if I click on furniture under category, it just expands that category to show its subcategories. If I click in a blank area outside of the cross tab, it will collapse everything. If I click on office supplies under category, they're expanded. If I click on technology under category, it's expanded. So this is a pretty cool feature. Using sets and calculated fields to create an asymmetrical drop down situation. So it doesn't show everything, just the category of focus. So before we put this on a dashboard, let's go back up to Worksheet, and we're going to go back to Actions. And when we look at our action in the list, it says the source is this sheet. Now, this will become a problem when we put it on a dashboard. So this, I thought that there was a Tableau blog that said this was fixed as of Tableau 2020, but it's still not working. So this is the workaround. If we were to put this sheet on a dashboard, it's not going to work. The drill down is not going to work as expected. So what we need to do before we do that is we're going to select it in this list and we're going to edit it. And all we have to do is change the source sheets. So it's a little bit of a pain. Again, it may work perfectly on your system, but I do have the latest version of Tableau and it's still not working. So I'm going to do the source sheet drop down, and I literally am going to select Sample Superstore. And then all of the sheets are selected. So what I have to do is I have to deselect everything except Asymmetric drill down, but we have to tell it the source is Sample Superstore. It's a weird workaround. Otherwise, you would have to recreate it on dashboard actions, which is like having to do it twice. This way it will work on both the sheet and the dashboard. So I'm going to just finish unclicking. So now the only thing that's checked in the drop down is the asymmetric drill down sheet. And I'm going to click OK and click OK. Now we can go ahead and create a dashboard and drag our asymmetric drill down onto it. And now test it, and everything should work as it did on the sheet. And if I click on furniture, it expands it, click away. Click on office supplies, same thing, click away. So if you hadn't done that, it would have expanded everything on here like it normally does before we went through that process. And again, I apologize for that. It is a pain, but if you want to use it on a sheet and a dashboard, you need to take that step where we just fixed it to Sample Superstore data source. If you're just using it on a sheet, you can just use the sheet. That's kind of how that works right now. So let's go ahead and name this dashboard. I just wanted to show you it on a dashboard, and we'll name it Sales by Category with Drill Down, and save your file again. Since we're here, I'm not gonna make this any wider than it is, but what I'd like to do is have it fit the entire view. See how that looks? Kind of don't like how that looks. So I'm gonna go back to standard for a moment. And you can go ahead and hide the field labels for rows. And I chose to fit the width instead of the entire view. And let's add our table calculation. I think it'll be the second one in your list. If you hover over it, it should say table calculation, secondary calculation. And I'm going to drag that onto the bottom half. And if necessary, I'm going to fit the width on that one as well. just to have a different visualization that has, well, actually, that's not the visualization. So this is cool. Let's get rid of that second one on the bottom. You can use the X in the upper right-hand corner. I grabbed the wrong one. You find the one I'm talking about. So it's the first table calculation one. When you hover over it, it says running totals entire table. And let's drag that onto the bottom. And for that one, I'm going to fit it to the width as well. So they both have the categories in it. That's why I put both of these on here at the same time. They kind of relate to each other. And I'm going to right click on the bottom one on category and hide the field labels for columns. You can do your thing up here with expanding and seeing the subcategory if you need to, and then clicking away from it to collapse everything. So I just want to show you in here. Let's just go to our asymmetric drill down sheet and then go up to the map menu, and you see you have background images there. We're going to add a background image, but we're going to do it at the dashboard level. So let's go back to our sales by category with drill down dashboard. If you go to the map menu when you're in a dashboard view, background images is dimmed out. And that's because you add the image from the object. And I think we did this earlier. We added the Learnit logo, and we're going to use the same one again. But just to fill up some of the space in here. So I'm going to drag that image object onto the dashboard and put it in between the two cross tabs. And I'm going to click on choose. It's already on insert image file. I'm going to choose. And then I'm going to use that Learnit logo. And then I'm going to choose the options to fit the image and center the image. And I'm not going to attach it to a URL at this point. You could, and we did that earlier where we had it go to learnit.com when clicked on. And we're going to just choose apply and click OK. So we have our image there, and I'm going to just resize it. So it's kind of taking up now. This one is not really a good one to resize, but you get the gist. The aspect ratio is not locked, so it's getting distorted. But you would want to use images that make sense to your data if you're going to be putting them on a dashboard. There's nothing wrong with having the company logo on there, although I wouldn't do it that large. But I think you get the gist and you know the process for doing this. Let's go ahead and save the file. And now we're going to go to File, Close, and we're going to connect to another Excel file, and that's the Australian ghost sightings. So this has a lot of geographic information in it, and the appropriate geographic roles are already assigned, right? So postcode is assigned zip code / postcode, so on and so forth. The latitude and longitude were generated here. Go ahead to sheet 1. On sheet 1, we're going to drag the longitude to columns, and it's giving me average, but we'll fix that. And we're going to drag the latitude to rows. And right-click on your longitude and turn it into a dimension. And do the same with the latitude. And so we have this map of Australia with all of these different marks on them, right? So if you hover over any mark, it's just showing you the latitude and longitude right now. We're going to add the postcode to detail in the marks card. And now when you hover, you see the postcode as well. What we want to do next is we want to create groups out of regions, and the regions are not like a field in our data source. We don't have a region dimension in our data source. So this is going to be kind of fun. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to add a border and a halo to the marks so each mark will stand out a little bit more. Now, a halo is like an extra border. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the color box on the marks card, and under effects, we're going to go to the border drop down, and we're going to choose a black border. And then we're going to go to the halo drop down and choose like a red halo. And that makes them kind of stand out a little bit more. So now we're going to create the first of 7 groups directly on the map. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use a drawing tool, and I'm going to show you what the first group will look like. So this is a representation of what you're going to use the Lasso tool to draw for the first group. Now, don't worry about being exact. We just, you're just learning how to do this probably. And it takes some practice. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my map tools and switch to the Lasso tool. And I am going to click right about here and start drawing the lasso. So I want to go underneath, and then I want to grab everything else like that. And the end has to meet the beginning. And when it does, you'll see it'll pop up with keep only, exclude. There's a paper clip. You're going to go to the paper clip drop down. And for the first group that you create, you're going to choose all dimensions. And so now you have a legend, right? And everything that's not in the group is called other. So what we're going to do on the legend, we're going to select that blue color, and we're going to choose on the pop-up, we're going to choose exclude. And so the reason why we did that is so that when we're selecting our next group, we don't include members of the first group. When you do the second group, which I'm going to draw for you on the screen in a moment, when you do the paper clip, you're just going to click on it and it means group. You don't have to do that all dimensions again. So let me pan, and I'll draw out where the second group is going to be as best as I can. And then what the second group is going to look something like this. Let me just take another look and make sure. Yeah. Get all of those in there. And then I'm going to just come down and grab everything else at the bottom. Oops. I kind of messed that up, but you get the gist. Let me just double check that. I just want to make sure I'm as accurate as possible here. Just want to check the right side of that drawing and make sure I got what I needed in there. Absolutely. And so go ahead and use your lasso tool. And again, we're not going for exactness here. So now you can see the members that I included in the second group. And what I'm going to do is I am going to hover over one of the members. When I see keep only and exclude, I'm going to just click on the paper clip, and it groups them. So now on the legend, I'm going to select that blue colored group, right click on it, and I can choose exclude. And now I'll map out the third group for you. And there is my absolutely horrible drawing of the third group. So go ahead and use your lasso tool to get that group going. And you can see the marks that I have in that group. So now I just need to hover and group them. And now it automatically excluded them. It picks up a pattern. So that's what's cool about this. Okay, I'm going to draw the fourth group for you. So that is what we're aiming for the fourth group. Go ahead and do your best. And you can see the ones that I selected. And I'm going to group them automatically excluded. It's a beautiful thing. Okay, group 5 coming up. So there's your next group roughly. Go ahead and grab it. There is your next group roughly. Go ahead and lasso it. And for the final group, you're going to just grab what's left and group it. Now at this point, my map is empty except I forgot 3 marks at the top. In order for us to, since we've been hiding our groups, we're going to bring them back. And the way to do that is by getting rid of latitude on the filter shelf. So now all of our groups are back. And I see I have this other group, which should have been within another group. I'm not going to mess with it right now. So we have all of our groups back. Well done. I know that takes a little bit of practice to get used to. If you don't do it often, it feels like you're learning it all the time over again. So for our purposes, this is good. And go ahead and name your sheet Australian Ghost Sightings. Let's drag the ghost sightings measure to size on the marks card. And then go to size and increase the size. So you're seeing the ghost sightings in all of the groups. Now we're going to go over to the legend. We're going to go to its drop down and choose highlight selected items. And now we're going to modify each individual legend mark. So I'm going to right click on the first mark and choose edit alias. And for this one, we're going to name it Northern. And now it dropped to the bottom. Now we're going to do the next one at the top, edit alias, Northwest. The next 2 from the top are going to be Northeast and then Southwest. So we may need to edit some of our aliases. Let's check them. I'm going to start at the bottom with Southwest, and that one looks correct in terms of, we told it to highlight selected, so Southwest looks good. Then I'll go up to Southern. That also looks good. Northwest, yep. Northern, that's cool. Northeast is cool. Eastern, not so much. And let me check Central. Central, not so much. Central, let me look at Eastern again. I think I'm going to make Eastern Central. So I'm going to right click on the alias, and I believe it's going to make me put a 1 after it. So I'm going to make it Central 1 for right now instead of Eastern. And then the Central one, look at Southwest. The Central one, I think really should be like Southeast. Yeah, let's change that alias to Southeast. We'll just roll with that. And then we can rename Central 1. Since we didn't use Central again, we can just get rid of the 1 there. That's a little bit better. So I just wanted to make sure you're getting like the general idea, right, on how to create these groupings that don't exist in the data by using the Lasso tool on the map. And let's go ahead and save this workbook, and we'll call it Australian Ghost Sightings. I just found this data on the internet and I was fascinated by it. Okay, so now let's go to the map menu and choose background layers. And up at the top where it says style, we're going to do the drop down. It's on light, and we're going to change it to normal. I think satellite is really cool. If we change it to satellite, I think that just looks amazing. I'm actually going to leave mine on satellite because it makes me very happy. And let's see, I'm going to do, what else do I want to add to it? I'm going to add water labels. So now you can see the bodies of water by name there. I will say that you can see more clusters of ghost sightings where the major cities are. Now, Australia is known for ghost sightings. In case you didn't know that, now you do. And so it makes sense that the larger clusters are where the major cities are, as opposed to other parts of the country. Go ahead and save your file. So I went ahead and I duplicated the map sheet, and I stripped it down and replaced it so that I got this text table. So I'd like you to take this opportunity to practice on your own. And I used the latitude that when you hover over it, well, it's the third one in the list on the data pane. And it's the one that says postcode 2. That's the one of the region breakdowns that we did. So I use that. And you may need to use your show me to change the visualization to a text table. So go ahead and pause the video and build this visualization. So now we're going to build a dashboard using these two sheets. So I'm going to bring up a new dashboard sheet. And of course, the first thing I'm going to do is adjust my size. And collapse that. And I'm going to drag the map on to the canvas. And then I'm going to drag the Australian ghost sightings duplicate sheet to the right side of the canvas temporarily. Now for the text table, I'm going to go to its drop down, and I'm going to make it floating. And then I'm going to resize it. Doesn't need to be that large. A little bit more. I'm going to drag it to the lower left. And I'm going to get rid of its title. And then adjust the sizing a little bit more. And I'm also going to set it up so to be used as a filter. So right on its side panel, I'm going to click on the filter icon. And because I had already selected central, now that's what's showing on the map. And it's also showing in the legend. If I want to see everything again, I can just re-click on central. Any other region will show as well. Pretty nice looking dashboard. Let's go ahead and name the dashboard. And we'll just call it Ghost Sightings. And save your file again. In this module, you learned some advanced techniques, tips, and tricks. We started by using sheet swapping so users can view one visualization at a time on a dashboard. This is useful for mobile layout, but also with a desktop layout so that users can focus on one viz at a time for further analysis. We created 2 vizes for sheet swapping, although you can have as many as you need. We then created a parameter and a calculated field for the sheet swap and filtered the calculated field to show the current sheet's viz. We also showed the parameter on both sheets. We created a dashboard and added both sheets to it and tested the swap. We moved on to creating a set and creating a hierarchy to which we added the set at the top level of the hierarchy. We were able to compare subsets of data by using this set. We changed the legend colors from the default, and we drilled down on the fields in the shelf to see more set details. We then drilled down directly on the visualization. We created a more complex scenario by creating a set and calculated field on a new sheet. We created a visualization and then created an action from the Worksheet menu to create an asymmetric drill down, which we tested at the sheet level. We modified the set action to the data source scope so it would work on a dashboard before creating a dashboard and testing the asymmetric drill down functionality. We moved on to adding a background image to the viz. We explored advanced mapping techniques. We added a border and a halo so the marks on the map will stand out more. Then we used the Lasso tool to select regions on the map and group them. We increased the size of the marks and added background layers to the map. We tested out the different map styles and saw that satellite is a good and compelling visual. We edited the aliases on the legend to reflect the regions we created, and then you had the opportunity on your own to duplicate the map sheet and remodel it to produce a text table viz. We then ended by creating a dashboard and making it interactive by using the floating text table as a filter. The final module in this introductory Tableau course is sharing your data story. So we'll cover presenting, printing, and exporting from Tableau. In the second lesson, you'll learn how to share a workbook with users of Tableau Desktop or Tableau Reader. And the final lesson will be sharing data with users of Tableau Server, Tableau Online, and Tableau Public. Let's go over some terms before we get into sharing your data story. Packaged workbooks contain the workbook along with a copy of any local file data sources and background images. The packaged workbook is no longer linked to the original data sources and images. These workbooks are saved with a .twbx file extension. Other users can open the packaged workbook using Tableau Desktop or Tableau Reader. So you can email a packaged workbook to a user of Tableau Reader, and they can open and see its contents. Tableau Reader is a free application that can be used to open and see workbooks that have been built in Tableau Desktop. And then there's Tableau Server. It provides browser-based analytics. After publishing your workbook to Tableau Server, others with a Tableau Server account can sign in to see your workbook. Tableau Cloud lets you view and share dashboards from the office, at home, or on the road. There are native mobile apps that can be accessed from the web or a mobile device. Only authorized users can interact with data and dashboards. It uses single sign-on to make security easy for trusted users. After publishing a workbook to Tableau Public, anyone with a link to the workbook can see its contents. Workbooks and the underlying data saved to Tableau Public are accessible to the public. Lastly, you'll see a term on the File menu, Export as Version. You use that if you want to save your workbook to an earlier version of the Tableau format. There are a couple of ways that you can present your data story. And the first way, while we're still in this dashboard, is you can go up to the toolbar and click on the presentation mode button, or you can press F7 to go into presentation mode. So it gets rid of everything except your visualizations, any legends or filters that you may be showing on here. I mean, if you had text boxes or images, they would also be included in presentation view. And you can use presentation view in a data story as well. If your computer is connected to a presentation monitor, this may be ideal for you. To get out of presentation mode, you can go ahead and press your escape key on your keyboard. Now, another way that you can present your story is you can go to the File tab and choose Export as PowerPoint. When you do that, you have a choice of what to include in the export. It defaults to this view. You can tell it to export specific sheets from the dashboard or specific sheets from the workbook. I'm going to leave it on this view and choose Export. You can save it in your desired file location. And I'm going to go ahead and open that PowerPoint. And it gives you a title slide with the name of the dashboard. And then it has when it was created, and you may want to get rid of that text box and maybe put something else in there. In there, I am just going to put my name. I might want to put a design on it. And then the second sheet in here is the dashboard, just that view that we asked it to put in here. This is a well-known presentation program. You might want to use PowerPoint just by using the export feature. And if you wanted to export all of the sheets from your workbook, including your dashboards and your stories, you could do that as well. Let's talk about how to print your information. I'm going to go back to the File tab, and you'll notice there's a print option there. You know, if you have a really great color printer and you want it to print the colors and stuff like that, this is fine. You can tell it to print the entire workbook, the active sheet, or selected sheets. And then, you know, however many copies, you can go into your printer preferences, things of that nature. What I typically like to do, instead of printing on a printer, if I have to give printed copies to people, what I like to do is cancel that. And I like to go back to the File tab. I like to print as a PDF. And when I do that, I can choose the entire workbook. It defaults to active sheet. And if I had other sheets selected, selected sheets would be an option here. I can tell it the paper size for the PDF, the orientation, and also tell it to view, I would like to view the PDF after printing and show the selections. So I'm going to go ahead and click OK on that. And here is my PDF, which I can easily attach to an email, or I can put it up in the cloud in a shared location or share it with someone from SharePoint or OneDrive or something like that. So you have a couple of options. Again, you can print it to a printer or you can print it as a PDF. One way you can share your file with users of Tableau Reader or Tableau Desktop is by creating a packaged workbook. Let's go back to the File tab, and it's under Export, Export Packaged Workbook, and it will save, and you'll notice the file extension .twbx. It will save it into your Tableau repository workbooks folder, or wherever you have your file location pointing to. Again, it's the same name. So because it has a different extension, I can save it there with no conflict, because the other one is also saved. The original one is saved in my workbooks, but it doesn't have the same extension. So I'm going to go ahead and choose Save. Now I'm going to navigate to an email and attach that file. And you can see the icon is a little bit different on the packaged workbook, and the type is different as well. So, and it's really kind of all the material is zipped together. So I'm going to select that one and insert it into an email, and I can send it to my other account just like that. Let's go back to the File menu, and we're going to click on Share. It lets you know that it's processing the request. You may have been prompted to log in, and then once you get to this screen, in my case, this is going to Tableau Online. Now, if you were prompted to log in, that screen would have said Tableau Cloud. Tableau Cloud is the new name for Tableau Online. So I already have a project folder in here. If you don't, you can drop down and change the folder and use default if necessary. It's already given it a name. Now down here, I have this permissions the same as my Tableau training folder in Tableau Cloud. Lets me know that I have a data source embedded in the workbook. And I'm going to leave it that way. We could edit and change it to publish the data source separately. In this case, I'm going to leave it embedded. And then you can show or not show the sheets as tab. You can show selections, and you can include external files. So if we used, I don't think so, not in this file, but that would be like the logo we used in Sample Superstore, stuff like that. And then you would simply click on the green Publish button in the bottom. When it's done, the Publishing Complete dialog pops up, and I can preview different device layouts. I can share the workbook from here. If I click on Share this workbook, and it says only people with permission can see this workbook, I can either share it via email or grab a link to it, copy the link into an email. So I can share this with someone else in my organization that has permission, and I can click Share there. I'm going to go up one level. So now this is what it published, everything. It published the first sheet, the second sheet, and the dashboard here. Gives me those 3 views. And then I have the data source tab. And even though we were using a live data source, now it makes an extract of it from the last time that the information was captured, which was upon us sharing it here. And that's kind of how that works. I could edit the workbook from in here if I needed to. And that's one way of getting your data story out there. In order to publish it to Tableau Public, you're going to use the server menu. At the bottom, hover over Tableau Public. So we're going to choose Save to Tableau Public. And so you're going to get an error which tells you that you need to have an extract in order for it to enable the data sources or publish the data sources. So you can't use like live data connections here. You have to create an extract. So we're going to click OK. We're going to go to our data source tab, and you're going to choose Extract. So we're not going to do any filters. We want the extract to include all data. And then navigate to a Sheet tab, and it's going to have you save your extract. And from a Sheet tab or the Dashboard tab, you can go back to your Server menu, hover over Tableau Public, and choose Save Again. You may be prompted to log in. From Tableau Public, I can edit, I can add it as a favorite, I can share, download, nominate it for the viz of the day, and get to my settings. When I click on Share, I can do the current view or original view. There's embed code. I can get a link, and I can email the link, I can tweet it, or I can send it on Facebook. I'm going to go ahead and close this dialog. So I misspoke just a moment ago. It didn't publish the workbook to Tableau public. It published the sheet that I was on, which was the first sheet. So I'd have to correct myself for misstating and saying, here's the workbook. I'm back on my dashboard, and I can connect with Tableau server from the server menu. So at the top, it tells me who I'm signed in or how I'm signed in, to what I'm signed in. The last one I did was to Tableau Public. Prior to that, it would have been Tableau Cloud. And I have the choice to sign out or sign into another server. And here you would input your server name and address, and you would click on Connect. In this final module, you learned how to share your data story in a variety of ways. First, you learned how to present your data while using Presentation View in Tableau and exporting to PowerPoint. You learned that you can print your workbook data by sending it to a printer or by printing to a PDF format, which can be attached to an email or stored in a cloud program like SharePoint or OneDrive for sharing. Then you learned how to package a workbook which saves the external data sources and image files in a .twbx format. The packaged workbook can then be emailed to users of Tableau Reader and Tableau Desktop. You also learned how to publish to Tableau Cloud, formerly Tableau Online, and how to share from there to other users. Then you learned that in order to publish to Tableau Public, you needed to create an extract, and it publishes one view at a time. We ended by learning how to access Tableau Server via the Server menu in Desktop by inputting the server name and address or path and choosing Connect. Thank you for viewing this Tableau introductory course. We're going to review, by way of conclusion, what we've covered in this extensive course. When we got to Module 9, we started addressing how to make data work for you. So you learned a bit about structuring data for Tableau and how to deal with data structure issues. We used a broken Excel file and got introduced to the data interpreter. And even though the interpreter was not able to fix our data structure issues, we learned how to fix them ourselves in Tableau. And so we created some groups so that badly input information from the source data was grouped together so it would be recognized as a group. And we got an overview of advanced fixes for data problems. Module 10 was exciting. We learned advanced techniques, tips, and tricks, starting with sheet swapping and dynamic dashboards. Then we learned how to leverage sets to answer complex questions and using background images. Then we spent time with mapping techniques using the Australian Go Sightings Excel file. And in our last module, you learned how to share your data story by presenting, printing, and exporting. And then we drilled down on how to share a workbook with users of Tableau Desktop or Tableau Reader, and then sharing data with users of Tableau Server, Tableau Online, which is now known as Tableau Cloud, and Tableau Public.